You have a total of 257 disciplinary reports. 58. Okay, 258. You've recently, that is throughout all your incarcerations. And then through this incarceration, you just got one last month, well, September. How did you manage to go through this term of incarceration and then knowing that you're coming for this hearing soon? Why would you allow yourself to get back into some trouble? Did you know they were going to shoot him?
No, I didn't.
Did you know there was a gun involved?
I didn't know it was a gun involved, but I know people carry guns, so I didn't know that he was gonna get shot, but I can understand where my.
But you knew that the guy had a gun, or there was somebody had a gun.
I didn't know that he had a gun, but I knew it was probably a possibility, but I didn't know specifically he had a gun.
Right. You didn't know he had a gun. You didn't know that they were going out there to shoot him. You just were an innocent bystander calling out your buddy to leave the halfway house when, oh no, they attacked him. How how unfortunate that he got caught up in these actions. And the reason that I'm saying it so sarcastically is that this man has such a long record. Connecticut only shares with us going back a certain number of years. And the moment that we look at it, we see 2012 carrying without a permit. He has first degree endangerment in 2015. He has possession with intent to sell, and again another carrying a pistol without a permit in 2015, another breach of peace, another assault first degree with risk of injury, and then again, let's see, that's 2020 carrying another pistol without a permit and disorderly conduct. And there's one story here that Sir Richard found where he was apparently with a lady. Her parents came to get her because I think she was only 18, and he thought it would be a good idea to pull a gun on them, the parents. So here we are. We're going to go see this parole hearing, followed up by another one, which is just beyond. Anyways, with that, let's jump in.
Lauan G 350928.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Lauan G 350928. He is serving a sentence of 6 years jail, 10 years special parole for assault 1 and criminal possession of a pistol. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of March 18th of 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that Mr. G has completed Tier 2 and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the very high range risk for recidivism. Mr. Gainey, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I believe that I deserve a chance to be given parole because of the tremendous courage and effort and work that I've placed into rehabilitating myself into the person that I am today. I've not only had a chance to face myself through therapy, it gave me an opportunity to understand myself and the things that made me into the person that I was before I made this change. Since a child, all the wrong things were instilled into me. I've never had one positive role model or person or parent in my life to show me anything other than the things that I was exposed to, which were crime, streets, drugs, and the things that became normalized to me of what I'm supposed to do. And then by the time you know it's wrong, it becomes all you know. And it's a cycle that's extremely difficult to break because you never had anyone to show you how to be productive. And it's scary to try to be something different, and it's difficult. It becomes comfortable to make easier choices by doing what you've always done. This is the first time in my life that I can sit here and say that I took that scary road and I've grown and learned so much from everything in my life, the bad decisions and choices I've made throughout my life. I've seen how it affects the ones that I love, which is something I've never considered in my life. like, you know who it affects directly, but what you don't think of is who it affects indirectly, like you're hurting your family, the person's family, and there's a bigger impact of the decisions in your life. And I've had a chance since, I was charged with this crime to be released and to be home. And it's the first time in my life that I've been able to be employed, hold employment, not commit any crimes, not have any police contact whatsoever, and to just like be different than what I was before. And I feel that like this is the first time in my life that I've made the change that I really needed to make. And I feel like I just want an opportunity to continue to show that.
Okay, Mr. Gainey, thank you for that. So you said you had a lot to say in that opening statement about how you see
Yes.
yourself as changed. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to ask you some questions, then we'll deliberate and we'll make our decision. Okay. So let's start with what you're charged with: assault 1 and no pistol, and pistol without a permit. What was your role in all of that, in that case?
I called him to come outside.
Say that again.
Made the phone call.
To bring the guy out of the halfway house?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
Well, I didn't know it was gonna be that extreme. It wasn't supposed to be that, but I can also understand.
What did you think it was going to be?
Like they were supposed to address him. Like it wasn't supposed to be that, but it obviously escalated.
Did you know they were going to shoot him?
No,
Did you
I
know
didn't.
Did you know there was a gun involved?
I didn't know it was a gun involved, but I know people carry guns, like, so I didn't know that he was gonna get shot, but I can understand where my.
But you knew that the guy had a gun, or there was somebody had a gun.
I didn't know that he had a gun, but I knew it was probably a possibility, but I didn't know specifically like he had a gun, like right then.
You sure? Sure about that?
Huh?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, yes, I'm sure. It wasn't supposed to be that.
What was it supposed to be?
Like they were supposed to jump him, like that was it.
And why would you let yourself get involved in that? What was the benefit to you?
I wouldn't say it was a benefit to me. Why I would let myself get involved with that is I would say that I was definitely involving myself with the wrong people, which is what kind of a lot of the time negatively influences my life. Like because I go back to the same situation, the same places, deal with the same people. So I think it was just my involvement with people, just me trying to just do all the wrong things at that time of my life. And I wasn't in a good place in my life as well at that time. So I was just, I learned from it, I can definitely say.
All right. Well, this is your second gun charge. And you had 30 months for that just recently, back in 2015. You struggled with special parole. You were back and forth, and finally, until you finished your sentence. Right? You had a lot of trouble on special parole. Why was that? I mean, you're a young guy. They probably could have helped you kind of work through some of these difficulties you said you were having.
See, I think that, well, I know that, yes, they probably could have, but like I wasn't ready to change. Like at that time, like I wasn't thinking like to work. I wasn't thinking to like be different, to have the tools that I have now. I didn't have a lot of the things that I have now then. Like, so honestly, like they probably could have helped me, but my mindset wasn't right. It wasn't like I wasn't ready to make that change.
Okay.
And throughout all this and this time is just I finally came to a point where I made it. And since, like I said, since I got charged with this case, I've been home since then. I actually came back last year, and I was able to do it. I was able to work and consistently hold employment, just bond with my family, and just it's just I want to live differently for the next portion of my life.
Okay, let's just go one step at a time here. So my next question is, so you finished special parole and then you posted bond on this case to go out.
Yes,
All right. And how long were you in the community on bond?
7 months.
7 months. All right. And you were working at Bizzuto's?
Yes.
So what changed? Why were you all of a sudden able to hold a job at a decent place to work? You know, you could certainly support yourself on what you make there. Why all of a sudden are you able to do it where you, from 2015 through 2019, you struggled with special parole?
I'm matured. I've placed my children first, family. You get tired. Like eventually it just gets to a point where it's like the same thing. Like I've done the same thing my entire life. And it just got me pains, got me nowhere. It got me this, it got me like to not be there for the people that I love. And it just got to a point where I had to change. Like I had to be different. And now I just want to be there for the people that I love the most. Like that's what's important to me now, not the bad decision. And that's why like every friend that I had before, like completely separated myself from that.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your change. So I heard you say that you've matured and that you don't want this anymore. You don't want to be in jail anymore. Give me an example of how you think you've matured.
So a few things I've done there. I've been doing therapy, which is very helpful for me. Which is what I actually want to continue to do after this or whatever, like after my release or whatever. But it gave me a chance to address even the things that I went through as a child that you don't think of that impacts you. And I'm matured in like those ways to be different, the ability to think different, the ability to not make the first decision I think of, like, because I definitely used to be very impulsive. I didn't never used to think through a decision. I would make the decision and then think about it afterwards. But now I think about it. I actually make like the second to third thought because that's when I start thinking better and to be able to like focus on and remember what's important.
Okay. So I'm hearing you say that you're able to think through your decisions, think through to what the consequences will be of a decision that you make.
Yes.
And that's what helps. You're not as impulsive in doing things making those decisions quite so quickly. And this leads you to making the right decision.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And you've been able to do this with the help of the mental health services that you've been participating in?
That and family as well, support.
Okay. Okay.
I did groups as well. I've done the groups. That gave me more
mental
insight.
health groups?
Well, they haven't done any in my unit right now, but I've done voices in tier 2.
Okay. And so you took the voices, you took tier 2. You are a drug score of 3. How's tier 2 going to help you in the community?
I feel like that was really like informational. I've never had a drug issue. They gave me that because I had a drug case before. So so really for me was kind of just informational, just things that you may not know that you learn during the course of that.
Were you smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Do you think that was a problem?
No, I
No?
don't think I don't feel like that was a problem because it was more recreational. It wasn't like I literally like I haven't smoked since like 2014. So it's really like it isn't something that like I have an issue with. Like I've been on
Okay.
special parole and I've given clean urines. Like I don't.
Well, that's definitely a good thing, right? Okay, so so tier 2 is informational. Then you took the Voices program. Why do you think they wanted you to take the Voices program?
For victim to learn of who it affects. And that's really where I learned of how much other people that a crime affects. And it's like you think of like you and the person or whatever, and that's obvious. But what you don't think of is who it affects outside of you too, like their family or your mom, your children or your like loved ones, because not only are they hurt because this person is hurt, but your family's hurt because you're taken away and you're absent. You can't be there.
What do you
And
think the repercussions of your offense are? But how do you think that affects the victims? And who are the victims? Like, who do you see as the victims? And don't name the victim, but who do you see as the victims in this?
obviously I would say the person. You said don't name.
Well, yeah, don't name specifically. So the person that was targeted.
His family, his mom, his children, my mom, my children, my support family.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would ask you to think a little broader also. I'm thinking about that halfway house worker that walked the person outside. I mean, they're just there trying to do their job, right?
Yes.
Helping a guy out, watching him walk down the ramp there to go collect some sneakers, supposedly.
Absolutely.
What about that person? I said to myself, gee, how did that person even go back to work?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I'm completely
That
honest with you,
neighborhood, those halfway houses are generally in a neighborhood. How about the neighborhood?
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So
If I'm
I mean,
honest, I to be completely honest, I haven't thought about it to that capacity, like, but I'm definitely understanding, can see how it affects them as well.
okay, so you've had a job, you were working in the laundry for a little while. I saw some good reports for that.
Yeah,
You got some nice letters of support from counselors at the Department of Corrections that have known you over the years. One from your fiance. So you obviously have some support in the community outside the Department of Corrections. You think you can go back to Bizzuto's?
yes. I actually, before I came in, like I spoke to them about this. And they told me immediately because I said I would have to go for like a year. That I would be reemployed immediately. I actually reached out to them like a few months ago too, as well.
All right, and let's talk about something else. So you have a total of 257 disciplinary reports. 58. Okay, 258. You've recently, that is throughout all your incarcerations. And then through this incarceration, you just got one last month, well, September. How did you manage to go through this term of incarceration and then knowing that you're coming for this hearing soon? Why would you allow yourself to get back into some trouble?
Well, wasn't that I allowed myself to get? It was actually a class B. I actually grabbed something for someone and then they made it an issue, so they gave me death. But it wasn't that. So I've
What do you
literally,
mean? I need to ask a question. So when you said I just grabbed something for someone, So somebody asked you to do something for them?
Yes.
Did you know it was wrong?
No, I did not till after. He asked me to grab the bag from in front of the door. I grabbed it and I brought it to him. And then there was an issue. So, but I gave it back to even before I got there, I gave it back when I seen it was an issue, but they still wrote the disciplinary report. And
All right. Okay, I hear what you're saying. It's hard for me to not think about those behaviors. Doing something that somebody asked you to do, you don't really know exactly what it's about, to why you're in jail now, doing something you don't really know why you did it.
see, well, it's
Do you
different
see it? Do
slightly.
you see a parallel there?
I do, but I kind of think you're seeing it wrong. Like, I was a worker, so when people are locked up, they ask the workers to go downstairs and grab this from this person and pass it to here, things like that, which is what they do typically, and which is what I did. I didn't, you know.
Yeah. Is that allowable? I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right. You know you have 10 years of special parole on this sentence?
Yes.
You do? Okay. And you've been on community supervision, parole, probation 7 times. And you've had six times where you've been unsuccessful. Now, why do you think that is?
You know, I wasn't the person I am today. I wasn't like I was still. I do those times like when I would go out, I would go back to the area that I typically get into trouble with, or have the same friends that that were involved in things. So it's just it's easier to like go back to what you know, like what's instilled in you, what like you've seen since a child. Like that becomes the easier thing to do. Harder thing is to do something that you've never seen, like you've never seen anyone work, you've never had seen a positive parent or someone to like show you how to be like. But you do get to a point where you get to an age where you know right from wrong, and I admit that, and that's why like I stand here and I take responsibility for all my bad decisions. But those aren't decisions that I chose to further make anymore. And since this case, like I've tried to make all the right decisions, even going home this time, like I was able to do so much more than I was able to do in my life completely.
So you're talking about your release plan. So you want to release to your girlfriend's house in Hartford?
Yes.
Okay. You think that's a good place for you to go to?
But with her,
Do you think is it a supportive environment living with her?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you living before you were sentenced? With your girlfriend?
Waterbury.
Waterbury with your girlfriend. She lives in Hartford now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I do not have any other questions. Thank you. Mr. Sisaskis?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, good afternoon, sir. I just have a couple questions. My colleague went over most of the things. I was listening to your release plan to live with your girlfriend and then work at Bizzuto's. Bizzuto's is in Southington, right?
Cheshire.
Cheshire, okay. And you're going to live in Hartford, so that's a longer ride than from Waterbury to Cheshire, what you were doing before. So, what's your driver's license situation? Like, do you have a plan to get from where you're at to work? How's that going to work?
Well, she's gonna bring me actually.
Okay, so she has a driver's license in a car and has agreed to bring you back and forth to work, so you can take care of that until such time you can get your driver's license or whatever. Do you have a plan to get your driver's license?
Yes, definitely. Immediately, I want to go for it.
Okay. All right, and you've talked to her about that, and she's willing to do that.
Yes.
All right. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, and I know we've gone over your criminal history a couple different times, but you know, it's very concerning because you have incidents of violence along with gun possession. So I count 3 prior gun possessions, and then this is the 4th gun conviction. So you got 6 years on this charge here and 10 years special parole. If you get caught with another gun, like after you get out, right? What do you think the sentence would be? If you get on the 5th one, number 5, how long will that be, you think?
First, I would like to say there won't be a 5th, but probably federal, more than likely.
Yeah, it's not going to be 6 years. I can tell you that. It's going to be much more. You know what I mean? So I'm bringing this up just so that you understand whether you're on discretionary parole or special parole. You're going to have a lot of supervision. Obviously, the police know who you are. You have a record. You know what I mean? They're going to know who you are. If you get caught with another gun, you need to understand what's going to happen and that all you got to lose. You know what I mean? And
I do.
yeah. You know, you have people that care about you in the community and other things. To not get caught with another gun. Gun violence is like an epidemic now in this area, and you are a person that rates out very high to recidivate. Do you understand what that means?
So like reoffend.
Yeah. So according to, you know, all the documents and everything, they look at everything and they score you, and you're at the highest level, right? So you can't be any higher of a level to be someone to recidivate. And then you have all of these violent crimes in the past, and then also you're dealing with 4 gun convictions. So it's very, very concerning, and that makes you know, us want to ask you a lot of questions about how you've changed and what your thinking is about. So that's all I had to ask. That's all I had to ask you, sir. I'm going to pass that back to the chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Panel member Barry? No questions. Okay, Mr. Gainey, we're done with our questions. We will deliberate now and give you our decision in just a few minutes. All right. So as was pointed out, this is Mr. Gainey's 4th gun conviction. He was
There's some that are off to the side if you look on this stuff.
2009.
Yep. 2015.
2013.
2015. There's one in 2013 at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 4th gun conviction. This was you know, when we talk about serious offenses, this is right at the top. He was on special parole when it happened. He is very high for risk to recidivate. Although Mr. Gainey has done some good programs. He did the tier 2 program, although he thought it was just purely informational. Seems like he got a little something out of it. He did get something out of the Voices program, has had a job at the facility. Compared to all his other prior incarcerations, he hasn't done too bad. He only has the 1 disciplinary report. Does have some support in the community. There is some level of change. I still think that Mr. Gainey has a little bit of work to do, though. I'm not sure that he quite understands the gravity of these charges, the harm, not just to the victim, but this type of crime has in general. I do appreciate that he sees himself as changing, maturing, and we don't want him to come back. But based on what we have before us today and a complete review of the file, including the fact that he does score, as I said earlier, very high to recidivate, I do not find Mr. Gainey suitable for discretionary parole today. Mr. Stokowski.
Yeah, I agree, Madam Chair, for all of the same reasons. It's just very concerning. You know, I would add that I know this disciplinary report was a minor one, but you know, there is some parallel between what he's saying and what actually occurred in this incident, that someone else put him up to this and it's not his fault and that kind of thing. So I'm also not in favor of granting parole today.
So there's still some work to be done with
Yes.
this decision making. And Ms. Berry?
I agree.
Okay. And then we also need to set special parole conditions. that looks like the sponsor was confirmed.
Yeah.
So I had mental health evaluation and treatment, no contact with victim RM. That's a party that was in there. A GP. A general contact. Oh, and then is it co-defendants? Is it Kevin Blocker and Jake was
I don't know if these people
Overton?
were ever charged with any of these.
It was just,
Yeah.
that was it's another one of those, okay, so general no contact with. Right, so no co-defendants, that what we all came up with, okay. JP is the template. Okay. And reasons for denial, nature and circumstance, criminal history. Yeah. All right, so in the matter of Lauan G 350-928, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons. What?
Lauan G.
Lauan. Oh, I have a you. Lauan G. Nature and circumstance of the current offense, criminal history, current offense committed while on special parole. I further move to set special parole conditions of mental health evaluation and treatment, no contact with RM, a general no contact with GP. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then it's like,
This concludes the hearing for Lauan G number 350-928. All right, so you're all set.
It is LETUAN.
Now, this man, I think he's the poster child for what light on crime in the state of Connecticut looks like. Can you imagine? He is an habitual offender, 4 gun charges, and it keeps going and going and going. And we're about to watch another hearing that just talks about, that screams what light on crime in Connecticut is. We're going to talk about a hearing of a man who broke into a hotel, flashed a child who was in a hotel room, then beat up a security guard, and the judge gave him probation for it. Probation, which he then violated, and that's why he's in prison for doing the same kind of crime. Who would have thought? Oh, light on crime doesn't work. I didn't know that. But this is something that we're seeing playing out through so many states in America where people are where it's light on crime. And now we get to see it as it goes through the system, as it clearly fails. But again, there is a lot of what's it called, gaslighting that happens to the constituency. I'm looking at his arrest record, and again, as you can see, in 2012 he has the carrying pistol without a permit. He's given 30 months jail, but he doesn't serve it because in 2015 he has reckless endangerment. He's given 1 year. He doesn't serve that because it's or maybe he does, but 2014 possession with intent to sell, 30 months jail with 7 years special parole. And as we all know, he doesn't serve that either because he violates in 2015 breach of peace, and then in 2020 he has this charge where he's sentenced to 6 years jail, 10 years special parole. So when you add up all the years that he has over 16 years in special parole. What does it mean when you continue to sentence someone with special parole if it doesn't mean anything? If you can catch a new felony, he caught a new felony, his 4th gun conviction, and his total sentence is less than the time he owed. It's so insane. It's like they think we're stupid, or actually it's the same. His new sentence was 6 years, maximum of 6 years, which was the special parole he owed. So he didn't and they add more special parole. It's like, what does it take in Connecticut to say, you know what, you actually are so dangerous? Remember, someone was shot in this case. His 4th gun felony conviction, and a man was shot. That's attempted murder. We see in Louisiana, you'll get life for being a lookout man in a case like that. He's on special parole when he calls the guy to get him out who was shot, and he gets a 6-year sentence. With parole eligibility after serving a fraction of it, which makes no sense. But that's Connecticut for you. They don't care about protecting the constituency. They care about, and all those write-ups. I think that is the largest number of write-ups we have ever seen. 258 disciplinary reports. Who else was surprised when he said that he I don't know. It was something. But we're going to go watch another hearing that is absolutely mind-boggling, also insane. I got to tell you, there are states that they just do not care about protecting the most vulnerable. We're about to see that one right here.
Marcus Hodges, 350969.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Marcus Hodges, 350969. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 3 years and 5 years probation for risk of injury, public indecency, and failure to register. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of February 19th of 24. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has not completed any programs. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the very high range of risk of recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the high range. Mr. Hodges, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
To be truthfully honest with you, I made mistakes. I've been making mistakes all my life, and this is going to continue to happen. But I'm starting to learn that I'm getting older nowadays. It's just pointless for me to just sit and keep coming back to jail for doing the same old thing over and over again. I just want to go out there and succeed. That's all I have left to do nowadays. I don't have nothing else left to do. Like I can't really get employment like that unless I go out to a halfway house, and that's what I was really looking forward to. And I know that there's one in Uncasville for people like me, and I was looking forward to possibly going to one of those places if I were to be granted. Like, because I want to go somewhere where I could stay away from the trouble. I'm tired of trouble. I'm getting older now. I'm not going to be 50 years old doing the same old stuff over and over again. Yeah, I made mistakes. I did wrong. I've done a lot of bad things in my life. I'm not going to take nothing away from that. But what I really want to do is just go out there and do what I have to do. I know it's going to be difficult for me to get employment. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be very difficult, judging the way my record looks. But I just want to go out there and do what I have to do. If I get into a halfway house or something like that, or I don't care where I go, just as long as I get employment and possibly get housing again, because I had all that stuff at one point. I had Section 8, I had all that stuff, and me making bad decisions caused me to lose that stuff. I may not get Section 8 back again, but I know that I could get housing again if I go out there, possibly go to a halfway house or something like that, and transition myself into the community like that, and get me possible employment, and I could start from there, because you have to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. I had a few rough patches. It is what it is. I'm not going to take nothing from that. I'm not going to dwell on it either. I'm going to leave it where it is.
Okay, Mr. Hodges, I'm going to just stop you because you're repeating yourself just a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay, but I think we get the idea. I think it's great to hear that you know what you need to be doing and what will help you once you're back in the community. So we're going to be asking you some questions, then we'll deliberate and we'll give you our decision. All right, I'll begin with the questions this morning. So, you're here on offenses that are sexual in nature. and you have a history of that, which you made reference to in your opening statement. You know, one of them is failing to register, and then public indecency, which seems to be just this pattern, right? You haven't been able to complete any treatment since you've been in. What if you could have completed any of these treatments? Which one do you think would have been the most helpful for you?
It was the sex offender program. I actually told her to put me on the list. She never did. And she offered to put me on the list. I said, go ahead. But I didn't ever fall through. I guess it was whatever she did was her business, but it didn't ever fall through. And then I got transferred here.
Okay. Well, you know, we do have that as one of the programs they wanted you to take. You were supposed to be doing that in the community. What happened with that?
I didn't ever get to do none of that stuff. I'll be honest with you. I was too busy trying to find housing, trying to find a place to stay. I was too homeless. I didn't have a place to stay. And it was very difficult for me to even register because even to get into that place was too far. I'm not gonna, it's not an excuse. It is what it is. It's too far.
Right. I hear what you're saying, that it was a long way to go to register. You were homeless prior to this arrest?
Yeah.
Or were you renting a room in Hartford?
I was a little homeless. I had got a room near the end of everything.
Okay.
I had near the end, like towards me coming to jail, like probably like a week. I ended up getting week or 2 weeks. It wasn't that long. I didn't stay there that long. Okay.
So, Mr. Hodges, you know, rather than go through the whole exercise of the hearing, let me tell you what I'm thinking. So you have all your charges today are very similar to what you have on your criminal history. You know, you were supposed to participate in sex offender treatment in the community. You didn't do that. You were referred. You mentioned that you had trouble with housing. These programs that you are required to participate while you're in the community, they will help you manage some of those difficulties for you, because they know the difficulty of somebody that has a sex offense, has to be on the registry, and struggles with housing. So they can help you navigate that a bit, along with your mental health needs. Unfortunately, you haven't done any programs that we can sort of measure offender change with today. You have a handful of disciplinary reports, again, that have caused you some troubles. So for me today, I know you need housing. You're 8 months to end a sentence. I am not able to find you suitable for parole, but I do think that through probation and through any kind of community release with the Department of Corrections, they'll be able to provide you with some assistance with housing, your mental health needs, and you need to go to treatment while you're in the community. That's what your needs are.
I'll be truthfully honest with you. Probation is not going to do nothing. I'm going to be honest with you. They have a hard time even keeping track of their caseload. They're not going to do nothing to me. That's how I feel. That my last hope was parole, because I know that you guys got reach programs and stuff like that, and housing and stuff like that. That was my last chance. If I have to take it to the door, then I'll take it to the door, and then it is what it is. But I'm not going to depend on probation to do anything, because I asked my probation officer time and time again about treatment programs and stuff like that when I was out there, and she barely cared about it. They don't really care.
Well, I'm going to back you up just a little bit, and I am going to interrupt you a little bit, because you have 5 years of probation. I get that you want to go to the January Center, and I'm hoping that is something that's available to you, right? Because you know what you need, and that's a program where I think you can start your slow reintegration into the community. Go to the January Center, if you're allowed to go there, participate in treatment, and then employment will come down the road, right? But you have to be, the goal is to participate in treatment so that you can have some skills so that you're not back before us again, some strategies to manage your behaviors. And then, find some housing, and employment should come with that. Probation can direct you with services if you allow them. All right. Mr. Sosowski?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Barry?
Thank you.
Okay. So for Mr. Hodges, I have inadequate institutional program participation and poor institutional adjustment in criminal history. Anything else?
And evidence of offender
And
change.
evidence of offender change. Okay. So in the matter of Marcus Hodges, 350969, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: criminal history, poor institutional adjustment, inadequate evidence of offender change, and inadequate institutional program participation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, Mr. Hodges, wish you the best of luck. You need to work with the agency supervising you and participate in the programs in order for your best opportunity for success.
I tried, man. I tried everything. It's
Okay.
hard when you're homeless, man. It's
I
hard
hear
when you
ya.
don't have
I
nothing.
hear you. But if you work with the programs, they have resources to help you with that. All right, good luck to you.
Good luck, sir.
Thanks.
Hearing from Sergeant number 350969. All right, you're all set, sir.
All right, let me break down just how crazy this is. Now, again, he was given just a 3-year flat sentence. He finished the flat sentence, and now he has probation. He didn't even get special parole. And in Connecticut, special parole was created for offenders that offend so often that the judge says, you know what, I'm going to give you a flat sentence. And so let's say you serve all 3 years of your sentence, you then have 5 years special parole. It's baked in, it's guaranteed. So it's not like if you were given a 10-year sentence and you get out 3 years early, you have parole for 3 years that the parole board supervises you. No, at sentencing, I'm saying you're going to get 3 years and 5 years special parole, which means we're going to be watching you for a guarantee of 8 years, regardless of what happens. A judge didn't do that in this case. A judge only said probation, which is some form of supervised, but it's not the same thing. For example, the probation officer cannot grab him and take him back to the parole board where he'll have a parole revocation hearing, which is what we see in parole revocation hearings. It's much less strict. So we won't see him again anytime soon because he is out. And if he violates, it's not a big deal. In Connecticut, it's never a big deal to violate probation. His record dates back years, and from the beginning, he has probation. Look at how many times probation comes up. 25 times. Violation of probation. Violation of probation. Look, probation 2 years, probation terminated, violation of probation, because it's a joke. His entire thing is violating probations. And does it make a difference? No. You know how many crimes he has? He has assaults, he has resisting an officer, failure to register. Here he is, risk of injury to a child in 2019. What was he given? 5 years suspended, 2 years, after 2 years, 5 years probation. But it's all a gimmick because it's just a couple years later, we catches new felonies, assault against a public safety officer, failure to appear, more violation of probation. It goes on and on and on and on. Oh, look, another risk of injury to a child. And it just is insane. They don't care. This is 1, 2, 3 pages of probation violations, early terminations, and assaults against little ones. And what does he get? Here's finally the risk of injury to a child. They sentenced him on 9/27/2023, 10 years jail, suspended after 3, 5 years probation, which is insane when you think that he was just violated his probation doing this charge. He was sentenced only on February 2022 for 3 years probation. How is it possible that he's arrested on 2/15/2023 for 3 new felonies? You see it? Sentence 2/22/2022, 1 year jail, suspended. You don't even need us for jail time. You're a good boy. Now we'll give you probation 3 years. Watch out. You're on probation. I can see the judge wagging his finger now. Oh no. Who would have thought that just a year later he would catch 3 new felonies? Trespassing first degree, failure to register, public indecency, risk of injury to a child. Where's the assault? He also had an assault here. I know he had an assault because he attacked the bodyguard, the security guard. Or did they drop that one? Who knows? I don't know. Look, I think you guys get the point. And now here he is out in the public. Someone who likes to flash people. Someone who doesn't read. Someone who's, I mean, it's madness. But this is Connecticut for you. You know, you get to pick America. It's a beautiful place. We can pick which state we want to live in. I know not all of us have that luxury. It's not so simple. But there are states that are purposefully light on crime. They have their own agendas. And what's insane is that they are putting these agendas before public safety, before safety of children. This man is dangerous. And the Department of Correction, the judge, the DAs, they all had every opportunity, every flag, every signal to make sure that he got the help he needs. He can't help himself. Those who expose themselves, their brains are so warped, they cannot help it. It's a different type of messed upness. We'll see him in the newspaper again. I'm sure of it. He's only gotten out a month ago, but we won't see him up for revocation because he's only on probation. And there you have it. With that, I'll let you go.
You have a total of 257 disciplinary reports. 58. Okay, 258. You've recently, that is throughout all your incarcerations. And then through this incarceration, you just got one last month, well, September. How did you manage to go through this term of incarceration and then knowing that you're coming for this hearing soon? Why would you allow yourself to get back into some trouble? Did you know they were going to shoot him?
No, I didn't.
Did you know there was a gun involved?
I didn't know it was a gun involved, but you know, I know people carry guns, like, so I didn't know that he was gonna get shot, but I can understand where my.
But you knew that the guy had a gun, or there was somebody had a gun.
I didn't know that he had a gun, but I knew it was probably a possibility, but I didn't know specifically like he had a gun. Like,